Hi guys, we're now looking at macro hot topic areas where you can give an extra 5-10% towards in your revision. Remember, your job is to make sure that for all of these hot topic areas, you've got the application covered. You might want to use my examples for exam guide on the website. You might want to do it yourself. Your own general knowledge might get you there. Your own research can get you there, but make sure in your notes, you've got application to these topic areas and also you know the economic theory. The videos on the channel will cover you there for sure. This is not a prediction videos, guys, so don't be looking at all of this, listening, and then sacrificing other things in the course. No. You've got to make sure that you give just an extra bit of weight to these topic areas. You're ready for them if they do feature in the exam, but if they don't, who cares? You know, you revised everything already. This is just making sure you're well equipped and you have some good general awareness of key topical themes in the UK economy and generally around the world as well. So let's get cracking, guys. We're going to start by looking at macro policy. Macro policy is such a massive area of the course. Every year it comes up as a long essay question, sometimes even more than just one question about macro policy. It's going to be the same again this year, so we've got to be prepared. Giving an extra 5-10% in your revision worthwhile, specializing here, that's very effective revision. There are themes to the UK and globally for each of the three macro policies. Let's look at fiscal policy. It's been about a decade since the UK has adopted austerity policies. So a long essay question looking at the pros and cons of austerity could easily feature, not just for the UK, but also countries like Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France. You know, these countries have also used it. So it might not just be linked to the UK, just having general awareness about the pros and cons of austerity is worthwhile. But also a long essay question on whether austerity should be ended, whether it should be reversed, whether it's needed. You know, slightly changing the wording of the essay there, but still themed to austerity. Be prepared for a question like that as well. Do we still need it? Should it be ended? Then we look at monetary policy. There are two major monetary policy themes. The first one links to the UK and links to what the Monetary Policy Committee did in August 2016. This is 2 months after the Brexit vote. The Monetary Policy Committee did two very interesting things. First of all, they cut interest rates from 0.5% to 0.25%, and they stimulated the economy by pumping £60 billion worth of QE into the economy, quantitative easing. So maybe context about that could come up in your exam, and then a question linked to that, maybe a long essay question linked to that. So I have some general awareness of that and the impact of that. But I think more prominent with monetary policy is the need for the UK, for the Monetary Policy Committee to increase interest rates. This is a massive theme. It's been discussed so much in the UK. Mark Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, has talked a lot about this and the need for this. So be prepared for that, because the UK, with the Monetary Policy Committee, they've done it twice. Once in November 2017 from 0.25% to 0.5%. And once in July 2018 from 0.5% to 0.75%. So certainly a question linked to that. But it's not just linked to the UK. The US have been raising interest rates much quicker than we have. So just a general question about the need for higher interest rates. That is quite a technical little question. Be ready for something like that. Have your arguments ready to go, your application ready to go with that for sure. Now we'll talk about supply side policies. There are some major themes with supply side policies. Actually, supply side policies have been quite neglected by exam boards, so look out for it this year. Whether it's supply side policies to boost productivity. Productivity is a major weakness in the UK economy. They can latch onto that and ask you about supply side policies to try and boost it. Supply side policies to reduce the natural rate of unemployment, because we are pretty much at the natural rate. Supply side policies to boost competitiveness, because our exports are really lacking competitiveness. Our current account deficit is a concern, so supply side policies linked to that. Just be ready for macro policy, guys. It's very, very, very likely to feature at least once this year as an essay question. The UK's current account deficit is really interesting, not just because we're in the UK, but just globally. It's probably one of the most interesting current account imbalances in the world. So if your exam board has neglected it, at Excel, for example, it's been heavily neglected, then make sure you revise it well. Both the consequences of a large and persistent current account deficit and also the policies to rectify it. Make sure we know a bit about the UK's current account deficit. Donald Trump implemented his protectionist measures against China, Japan, the EU, Mexico, Canada, variety of countries last year. But it's a trade war that he's been talking about for many years, even before his election campaign started. So that is something that examiners can latch onto, especially the US and China trade war, that context. Make sure we know a bit about that. We've got some good application about that. We know the pros and cons of using protectionism. Make sure also we know the flip side, the pros and cons of free trade. There are two potential long essay questions. If they come up, most likely the context will be linked to Donald Trump. or I should say the US and China trade war. So just know about that, have a little bit of knowledge about that. That is certainly a very interesting area that could be a question this year. If your exam board hasn't already done it, then knowing about the weak pound, the impact of the weak pound on the UK economy. We know that the pound has been decimated since the Brexit vote. It's been quite a few years now. We can actually study the impact of that. If your exam board hasn't already asked a big long essay question about that, be prepared. That question could be linked to the current account deficit in the UK, so discussing the impact of a weaker pound on the UK's current account deficit. But also maybe it could be more open, discussing the impact of the weak pound on UK macro performance. Just have awareness of it. It's such an interesting case, especially because the UK economy is very unique. The impact of the weak pound has been very, very, very special for the UK and very unique to the UK compared to how it would be for other countries if their currency weakens. So certainly know about that. Be ready for it if your exam board hasn't done it already. Globalization is a massive topic area. It's been discussed a lot, I would say, over the last 5 years or so. The impact of globalization on both developing and developed countries. The discussion about the impact of globalization on developed countries has really increased over time and has become deeper over the last 5 years. So make sure that you are aware of the arguments, both pros and cons of globalization to both types of countries. Have application and have your economic theory arguments as well. Could easily feature this year globalization. And then lastly, development. Development is a major area of the course for all exam boards, and every year it seems like every exam board is going for development questions as an option. So be prepared for it. There are two major topical themes with the development. One is looking at trade versus aid, or just aid generally. A lot of discussion about aid. Should developed countries continue giving aid? What's the impact of aid, especially when government budgets are tight, government finances are tight? Is that really the most effective use of government spending, giving aid to developing countries? So make sure we know about aid, but also trade versus aid. That's always an examiner's favorite. Another hot topic area with development is market versus interventionist policies for development. That is always an examiner's favorite. So that covers some of the major macro hot topic area, guys. Remember, this is not a predictions video. All you guys need to do is make sure your application is solid for these hot topic areas. To make sure that your theory is good, you can use the videos there. Just give an extra 5-10% towards these topical areas. Then you've got good awareness for your exam. And if the question does come up, you're ready, you know a bit about the context, you can go and you can smash those essays. If they don't come up, who cares? You've not sacrificed other things. You're ready regardless. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next video, guys.